Hey everyone, Cerebral Tackle here. Today is part 2 of our 3-part installment on the Runyon and Kaminsky scandal out of Ohio. As a journalist, I want to take everything into account, all sides, look at the whole picture. Because without looking at the whole picture, you don't see how all the pieces fit together. So today we're going to take our focus off of Runyon and Kaminsky. And we're going to tell a bit of a story. Now, before we get too far into today's subject matter, I want to tell my own personal story, a bit of a parallel story to what you're going to hear today. We've all got a speeding ticket, maybe stop sign ticket, who knows, littering ticket, seatbelt ticket. Most adults that live well into their middle-aged years have received some kind of a citation for something along the way. Sometimes we argue it, sometimes we're not proud of it, and sometimes we know, well, dang it, we did it. As a bass tournament angler, I've always prided myself on how well I take care of my catch. In all my years of tournament fishing, I've had maybe 2 dead fish turned in, which I hate, sucks. 2 out of 18 years, though, isn't bad. With that said, the first time was not of my control. I was at the liberty of my partner's boat and his live well system that had a malfunction that day. The other one was my own live well. Breaks my freaking heart because I'm so proud of that live well, and I'm so proud of how I maintain a good temperature, great oxidization, great live well treatments. I baby my fish, and they are usually the happiest at the end of the tournament day. With all that said, crap happens. Sometimes we get a ticket. I want to go back to my youth. I had a very good friend visiting from out of state. I wanted to take him to my home lake. Show him a great time on the lake. It was Labor Day. We were going to rent a boat, go out, do lots of fishing, do some swimming, hang out, be dudes. Well, as it got later in the evening and come time to turn on all of our lights, I hit the lights, right? Our bow lights, the red and green, come on. The white anchoring light in the back did not. Now, regulations state it just has to be a light that can be seen, that's white in color, that can be seen from 360 degrees. I was scurrying through the boat, trying to find anything I could hang up there to keep us on the water. It was Labor Day weekend. We had a good spot picked out. The fishermen were starting to come out there, and what we call the water lights, all the jet skiers and those guys, were starting to filter off the lake. So we were trying to batten down the hatches, get our spot gone and locked in, and start to fish. And lo and behold, we hear a little put, 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 put of a motor. My buddy looks at me and says, "Yeah, watch that be the game warden." He jinxed us. Sure as hell, it was the game warden. A good guy that I'd known. I'd consider him a friend. But guess what? He's a fair friend. He gave me a ticket for not having that light in operation, the same as he would anyone that come before me or after me. Screw the fact we knew each other and we were friends. That's fine by me. It was fair. He still gave me the ticket. Was the boat mine? No. Should the person who have rented it to me made sure that that was in working operation before they rented it out? Yes. Did I have a conversation with those people? Yes. The good news is the marina owners were also my friends. Great people. They recognized the screw up. They went down to the courthouse, paid the ticket for me, and got it all straightened out. So all's well that ends well, except for we had to get off the water that night. We didn't get to do any night fishing. We got to be out there while everybody else was crazy, going badass crazy on the lake. We didn't get to enjoy the nice, quiet nighttime fishing when all the skiers were off the water. It sucked. It was a real kick in the crotch. But it happened. Am I embarrassed it happened? Yes. I wish I'd have checked it before I went out. I probably should have. I trusted my friends, the marina owners. They're great people. It happens, and I end up losing a good bit of the trip because of it. Embarrassing? Yes. Shouldn't have happened? Yes. I want you to remember that going forward when I tell my next story. Now let's go back in time to January 2nd of 2013 in a town called Bentleyville, Ohio. A tip had been called in to the Plain Dealer newspaper. There was a South Chagrin Reservation Park there in Bentleyville, and it appeared that the caller said that 30 geese and 10 ducks had been dumped there on the banks of the river over a cliff there in that reservation. Someone from the local parks department was called. When they got there and they surveyed the scene, they notified the Department of Natural Resources for the state of Ohio, which sent someone out to take a look at the area. The location where this happened was only around a quarter of a mile away from the local Bentleyville Village police station, which seemed odd. 4 of the birds, 2 geese and 2 mallards, were sent off to the state for inspection, where it was determined that they had been shot with steel shot, not with lead, but they had been shot. Tips came in throughout the summer, and finally the DNR investigators found someone they thought was a person of interest, and they sat down and had a chat with the individual. The suspect explained that he had been working with a local guide service, and that they had had some clients that went out, shot the birds, then didn't want them. He got stuck with them. They had spoiled. It was at a point he couldn't donate them. He was stuck with all these birds in the back of his truck by clients who didn't want them. Went out, shot them, then didn't want to keep them. When I initially found this story, I was upset. I'm like, man, that's a hell of a lot of birds. Over a possession limit, all this other. I had all these things running through my mind, which is probably running through yours. But I'm a journalist. I asked for clarification, and I got it. And what I was told by another game warden made complete sense. First, the birds were shot legally, not by him. So therefore, not going to be necessarily over his possession limit, because possession limit is all about not only the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law too. It's to keep you personally from going out and shooting more than you're allowed to have over a set period of time. It's that simple. That wasn't the case in this gentleman's situation. He was stuck with birds from clients who didn't want them. My next thought was, who in the hell does that? Who in the hell goes out, signs up for a hunting guide trip, shoots a bunch of birds and says, don't want them, I just wanted to kill something. Now that part still irks me, right? I feel bad for the guide service in this situation. They got screwed over, along with this individual, right? Well, when I talked to a game warden friend of mine, he reminded me of something. 2013, what was popular then? How about a certain TV show made up of a bunch of duck hunters who appealed to a certain demographic, who made everyone in that demographic want to grow a beard and become a duck hunter? If I had to guess, it was a bunch of city folks that wanted to get in touch with their hillbilly side, so to speak. No shot across the bow of hillbillies, trust me. I like you dudes. But you see what I'm saying? A bunch of guys that probably had no business hunting, getting a guide trip because it was popular at the time. It's what they saw on television. They went out, they shot a bunch of birds they didn't want, and they stuck the guide service with them. And then this gentleman ended up getting stuck with the birds and had a little way out of disposing of them. So, being in a really crappy spot, not being able to donate the birds because of spoilage, not having any other way of getting rid of them, he did what he inferred to investigators as being the worst mistake of his life, and he dumped them. The birds were shot legally. It wasn't going to be a possession limit thing. It was a littering thing. So on September 25th of 2013, he paid a $170 fine and pled no contest to an illegal littering dumping charge of these waterfowl. In this situation, he had a little way out. He was really kind of screwed. If you ask me, I think it probably led to the fact of some ungrateful clients that probably shouldn't have been out there plunking birds. That's my personal opinion on it. But this guy did what he did, and he stepped up. He pled no contest. He paid the fine. And I know he didn't feel great about it to this day. When I talked to him about it, he said, I'm sure everybody has a ticket in their life they wish they wouldn't have got. And it's no different for him. And I get that. That trip with me and my buddy on my home lake, that was an important trip. It's the only time I've got to go fishing with him in my home state. It meant a lot to me. I was looking so forward to it. We were out there all day, just biding our time, waiting for everyone else to get off the water so we could secure our nighttime fishing spot. Then we didn't even get to fish. All because the marina owners, nor did I, check those lights before going out on the water. It's a screwed situation. Did I deserve the ticket? Yeah, I was in possession of the boat. I should have checked the lights. Give me the ticket. Now, on the other hand, there were marina owners were responsible too, and they took up their end of it as well. All's well that ends well. Although, I'll probably never get to fish with that guy again. It sucks. So can you be a good person and get stuck in a bad spot and have a squirrely decision made that comes back and bites you? Of course. We're human. That's what humans do best, is screw up. This guy's no different. Just human. The important thing is that the gentleman admitted to his mistake. When approached, he's like, yep, here's what happened. I was in a tight spot. Explained the situation. Then fell on his sword, pled no contest, paid his fine, a ticket, went on. Done and done. He was a well-respected member of the community then, is a well-respected member of the community now. And you're going to recognize his name. His name? Jason Fischer, the tournament director. We've got weights and fish. That guy. It just goes to show you, bad things can happen to good people too. But it's the dichotomy of the situation, the opposite, the two sides to the coin. On one hand, you have folks that it appears are actively trying to cheat their fellow anglers, commit tournament fraud, and get to the top by not putting in the work, but by screwing their fellow anglers. And on the other side of the coin, you have a guy doing everything he can to bring tournaments to the people, fundraisers, support for kids, busting his butt for the community that made one goofy mistake almost 10 years ago. That's the difference here. You weigh it. There's good on one side, a lot of bad on the other. But Mr. Fischer was right when I talked to him. He said everyone has a ticket they wish they didn't have. That's me, baby. I've got one I wish I didn't have. And I'm sure a lot of y'all do too. So, it is what it is. It's what you make of it. It's who you really are. And you'll see in part 3 more about who Jason Fischer really is. And I think you're going to like it. So, at the time all this occurred, Jason Fischer was with the Bentleyville Police Department, the PD that was only a quarter mile down from where the dumping occurred. He later went on to become a member, and still is, I believe, of the Chagrin Falls Police Department. When he got his new job, his chief was asked about his violation for the dumping, the ticket. His chief is like, it's not going to matter about his employment. And he's been welcome there since that day. So that's not an issue. Runyon Kaminsky, that's an issue. But I wanted to show you guys it's good nature and bad nature in people. That's where we're at. I think you'll like the home stretch coming up of part 3. I think you'll get to know even more of Mr. Fischer and the great things he's done for that community. You'll see. And it'll wrap it up. It'll be bringing it on the home stretch, and it's coming up here soon. Guys, thank you again for all your support. All you guys are the best. Please like, share, subscribe. We all need it in this time, trust me. You know the drill. Until next time, folks, keep it wet.